Welcome to Monolith Mondays. My name is Megan. I'm the marketing manager here at Monolith Forensics. If you haven't been to a Monolith Mondays before, what this is every Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time, somebody from our Monolith team will walk through a feature set or a workflow inside of Monolith, so you get kind of the opportunity to see a live demonstration of some of the things that Monolith can do. And it also gives you the opportunity to ask us questions live directly here inside this Monolith Monday webinar. So today I'm actually going to be the one walking us through a feature set. We're going to be talking about the case file system. Just some quick housekeeping before we get started. If you have questions during the session, please put them in the chat or the Q&A. We will have time for this at the end. Um, so as something comes up, just go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll make sure to get to those questions for you. Alrighty. So, without further ado, let me share my screen here. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so you should be able to see my monolith here. We're just going to go through this agenda that I've put together really quick for what we're going to be covering today. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about the case file system within Monolith. So we're going to cover what that is, how to navigate through the different files, a couple of settings we have in the file system, how to add new folders and new files into the file system, and what you can do with files after they're added. And then, as I mentioned, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. So if you have questions while I'm kind of walking through this, please just put them in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we will get to those questions at the end for you. All righty. So let me navigate into one of my example cases here. So this is just an example case that I have inside of our kind of dev monolith tenant. And you can see I've got some files. Basically, all this is it's a place for you to store files related to your case. So this could be things like reports, evidence photos, search warrants, screenshots. You can see I've got a bunch of different file types in here. I've got some databases, some audio files, some email files, some video files. And really the purpose of this is just to keep any files related to casework that you're working on just tied to that case. So it just makes, again, it's again a way for everything to just kind of stay, all your work to kind of stay organized in one place. So to navigate through different files, as you can see here, I've got folders and I've got some files just kind of hanging out, not inside of a folder. But it functions just like you would expect, a regular file browser to work on your computer. So if I click into evidence, for example, you can see I've got a file and I've got a couple of additional folders here. I can click in deeper and that'll just take me in as deep as the folders go until we're out of folders and we're just looking at files. Something I do want to point out to you is if you're in several nested folders, so you can see I'm nested a couple folders in here. But if you ever need to get quickly back up to a higher folder in your hierarchy, these breadcrumbs up here are actually clickable. So if I'm down here in log data, but I want to go back to all of my case files, I can click case files here, and that'll take me right back up. So helpful way in term to kind of navigate these files as you need to. Let me check my agenda really quick. Okay, table view. So files will be visible in this table view here inside of Monolith. So it'll function how you would expect other tables in Monolith to work. So for example, if you wanted to adjust the sorting, you can click on a column header and clicking on it once will adjust sorting ascending. Clicking on it twice will adjust it descending. And then clicking it 3 times will kind of reset it to the default view. And then we also have filters. So if you wanted to look just at, you know, files with the name report, You could set a filter for that. And I must have not selected a filter correctly. But the short version of this is you can set up filters and that'll help you kind of organize the data and just narrow it down to data you just want to look at. Over here on the right-hand side, this little icon here that's kind of three vertical bars. This is the column selector. So if you wanted to see more columns than what we're currently looking at, you can click on this and you can check and uncheck columns as you like. So let's say I wanted to see columns with the hash. I can add that, and if I don't want to see it anymore, I can click it again and remove it. And then we have the search box here as well. So if you need to search for a particular file in here, let's say I'm looking for a report, it'll search this table for you. Something to keep in mind though, if you have a lot of nested folders, it's going to search just the folder level that you're in. So if you want to search all of the files in a case, like if I wanted to find that logs file that I looked at earlier, if we click this recursive button, what this does is it changes your table so it shows all the files in a flat list. So instead of having to click into the folder or multiple folders to get to the file that you want, this will just put it all in one flat list. And when I have this set up, if I go to search for that logs file, it comes right up. So something helpful to keep in mind there. Okay, so we've talked about the recursive. Something else too, if you hover over these options, Monolith will give you a little tooltip to remind you what this toggle does. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off since we've already talked about that. The next option we have here is hash uploads. So basically when this is turned on, what Monolith will do for you is it's going to pull the hash values to files that you upload while this is turned on. So if I toggle this on, and let me just upload a file here. I'm just dragging and dropping a file to upload it here. Oop. Let me just upload from my file system instead. Open. Okay, so if I go to look at that file that I just uploaded, if we change our columns to show the hashes here, this is the file that I just uploaded, so you can see it has pulled the hashes for us. So that's helpful if you want, if the hashes are important for you to keep track of in your system. The one thing to keep in mind about the hash uploads, and we have a little note about this in our tooltip as well, it can increase how long it takes the uploads, especially if you've got like a slower internet connection. So if you're uploading a lot of files at once with this toggle turned on and your internet connection's not particularly good, just be aware that it may take a little bit longer than a regular upload would. Alrighty, so that is hash uploads and recursive. Let me clear some of this back to default, check my agenda to make sure I haven't gone wildly off track. All right, so we've talked about navigating files. We've talked about recursive and hash upload folders. Okay, cool. So now the fun part, adding new files and folders. So you can upload individual files. You can upload folders as well. So let me upload a new folder here. To upload a file, we're going to click on this new button here and click upload folder. And I'm just navigating through my computer file browser window to upload something. All right, so let me click upload. Google is asking me if I want to upload multiple files. I'm going to click yes. And you can see it's uploading here. My magic mouse is not cooperating. That's okay. We have backup ways to navigate files. So now if I go to look at that folder that I just uploaded, you can see it's been added here at the bottom. if I click into this, you'll be able to see the files that were in that particular folder. And if I wanted to just upload an individual file, again, I can click New. I can click Upload File. Let me select a different file to upload. Upload this PNG image. And it's got my file uploaded here as well. So let's say I've uploaded a bunch of files, but now I want to kind of organize them a little bit better because this is sort of, a lot to look at. If we want to create a new folder inside the monolith side, what we can do is we can click this new button again, click new folder, and I'll just name this nested folder monolith Monday and create the folder. Okay. So it's added it here at the bottom. And let's say I wanted to move some files into this folder. Well, to move files, it's really easy. You can see as I'm hovering over a file in here, a little hand icon showing up. So when you see this hand icon, if we click and hold, that's going to kind of like grab the file for us. And now we can drag the file and we can put it in whatever folder we want. So let's say I want to put this in here. So I want to put this in there. And let's say I want to put some of these new things in here. Let's put this whole folder in here. Oop. Okay, so now if I click into that folder, you can see I've got my files, I've got that folder I put in here. From this layer, if I wanted to add a new folder, I can absolutely do that. So if I click new, new folder, second layer, nested folder. And now I've got a folder created in this layer and I can move stuff in here. Something else too, if you have a file stored kind of like pretty deep inside of your nested folders, but you want to like move it back out to just kind of the main case file list, you can click that file. And if we go to our breadcrumbs, you can actually drop it back into the case files and that'll move it. That'll move it right back. Alrighty, so that is how to add new files. Let me refer back to my agenda. Let's see what's next. Okay, what we can do with files after they're added. So if I come back to my file list here, um, basically what we're going to run through now is stuff we can access from these three dots right here. So let me go ahead and click on this for this file. And when we click on these three dots, we get a few options. So let's just run down this list. Let's click on Show Details. Okay, so what this does is this is going to give you kind of the overview of information about that particular file. And down here you can see I had the hash uploads turned on when I uploaded this file, so that's why you can see Monolith has listed the hash values here. And this is also a file that I've shared with a user in Relay, so I can see which users it's shared with right here, and if there's any description, we can see that here as well. And then also from here, we can actually see the file activity. So if we click on this activity tab, you can see who viewed the file. And if this is a file that's shared in Relay, you'll be able to see who viewed it in Monolith and also who viewed it in Relay. So pretty helpful activity tracking. You can also see when it was shared and if you sent a message when that file was shared as well. All right, so that's kind of the overview of the details page. Alrighty. Next on the list is share via relay. So if you're doing forensic work with somebody and they've submitted that to you via Relay. This is a really easy way for you to share files related to the case or reports with that particular person. So if we come into, let's say I have a new case report that I want to share with somebody. Well, what I can do with the share via relay function is let's just go to reports and let me just click into one of these I've already created and create a report real quick. So basically the workflow we would follow to like kind of share and create and share a case report from the file system within Monolith is we would go generate the report, which I've just done, and then we would download the report. And then we can come back into the Files tab here. And I'm just going to upload this file really quick. Upload. Slightly large file, so pardon it while my internet takes a minute to upload this. Is it this file? Yes. Okay. So now that I've got my case report uploaded here, what I can do is I can click these three dots. I can click Share via Relay. And here we can enter in the email address we want to share it with. I'm just going to go ahead and share it with myself for illustrative purposes. And we can enter a message. Here's an updated case report. And then we can click Submit. And if we look at the details now, on this side, you'll be able to see who it's shared with. And if I pop over into my Relay tab, so it also sent me an email saying that a file has been shared with me with like a direct link to the file. But since I'm already in Relay, I'm just going to show you how to navigate to find that file in here. So from Relay, we would then come into this case drive section and navigate to the case that that file was shared from. In this case, it's my Smith fraud case, so I'm going to click in here. And now we can see that file here. And actually, if they click it on the Relay side, they'll be able to view it and they'll be able to download it as well. So pretty handy if you need to share case drives with or files or reports or something with somebody you're working with in Relay without having to like drive to them and drop off a physical hard drive. So kind of a neat little way to share files there. And if we come back to the monolith side, let's say I don't actually want Megan to have access to that file anymore. Well, from here, I can just click on this X and that will remove my access over here. And as you can see, it has now vanished. So that's how the share via relay function works. Let me go back to my notes here. Okay, so next on this list of stuff we can do after the file is in here, we can view the item. So if we click view, we can see the file in here. I'm gonna pause for a second because I saw a raised hand. One moment. View. Raised hand. Where are my raised hands? Okay. I see Joey has raised his hand, so I'm going to pause briefly and allow him to talk. Hello.
Hey, Megan.
I see your raised hand. Sorry, I was like well in my well in my explanation.
That's okay. I just want to remind everybody if they are sharing large data files between Relay and Monolith, we do have cloud storage that you can purchase from us. We're allowing small files such as pictures and Word documents and things like that, PDFs to be shared, but larger files must purchase some sort of cloud storage with us.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Joey, for that note. Really appreciate it. Head and mute you and temporarily disable your talking. But thank you for that note. Okay. So we were at the viewing files part of this. You can actually also view most file types if you just click on it. That's just going to open it up if it's, an image. Of course, I clicked on a very giant image, so that's why it's taking a moment. See if I can find a smaller image. So it'll render images for you, so you don't have to like download the file and open it somewhere else. You can just kind of take a look at those things here. It works with Excel as well. So if you've got spreadsheets in here, again, you can just look at that right from within Monolith here. And then next on our list of stuff we can do is edit. So here we can edit the file name and we can also edit the file description. That's pretty straightforward. Um, and then we can also download the file and also delete the file, which again, fairly straightforward. So lots of cool stuff we can do with these files inside of Monolith. Let me check my agenda here because we're coming up on time. Oh, yes. Okay. So this bonus cool thing that is really super neat. So if you're using the notes system inside of Monolith, which hopefully you are because it's kind of super awesome. But when you go to export a note, so let's say I want to export my agenda, and let's say I want it to be a PDF. Okay, so it's downloaded locally to my computer, but if I click back to files, it's automatically added here, which is so neat. So there's just a copy of it here. Anytime you export a note, it's just gonna put a copy of that note in the files for you. So that's super neat. It does work with if you're exporting multiple files, and it works if you're doing it in Word or PDF. Like if I export my couple of tabs I have here, there it be. So that is really cool. I was pretty excited when I found out Monolith did that. Monolith has lots of fun, sneaky features like that that just kind of make all of our lives easier, which is pretty cool. Okay. So that was once again kind of drinking from the fire hose, talking about the file system. But let me temporarily stop my screen share so I can actually see chat. Stop. Chat. Okay, and I'll open the floor for questions. Okay, I see a question here from Joey, which we have already talked about, sending large data files between Relay and Monolith. Um, you can send small files. If you're sending large files, we have extra storage available to purchase, and that will let you kind of send like the very large files back and forth. So if you've got more detailed questions about that, feel free to reach out to Joey or Tony from our sales team. Does anybody else have questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay, neat. Thank you all for attending today. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. Hopefully you learned something new in Monolith that maybe you weren't aware that it could do that can make your job a little bit more efficient and a little bit easier. So in the meantime, hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll be doing another Monolith Mondays next week. Same time, same place. So hope to see you there. Have a great day, everybody.